Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, or good night, wherever in the world you may be checking in from. Um, my name is Mark Wells. I'm the Assistant Dean and one of the Directors of Admission at the University of Rochester. So on behalf of my colleagues in the Office of Admissions, I'd like to welcome you and thank you for joining us this afternoon, evening, or night, depending on where in the world you may be checking in from. My aim for the next 45 minutes or so is really to present a general overview of the University of Rochester, kind of introduce you to the city of Rochester, the University of Rochester itself, what the university is all about, some of the hallmarks that make the University of Rochester distinctive. I imagine a number of you are looking at education not only in the United States, but also considering all the different options that are available to you as you navigate the college search process. Just to kind of give you a sense, for those of you who are interested in learning more about graduate admissions, this presentation will focus primarily on the undergraduate admission side. I certainly would encourage anybody who's interested in any of our graduate programs, like our School of Business, School of Engineering, or medical schools, any sort of graduate programs, certainly please refer to our website. In fact, I'm going to be referring to our website quite a bit throughout the presentation. So if you do have specific questions about particular programs at the graduate level, it's best that you refer to the website and contact those departments directly, as my presentation for the next 45 minutes will really focus primarily on the undergraduate college search and the process by which we determine admission in some of the specialized programs aimed for undergraduate students, those who are currently in secondary school that are looking to pursue a bachelor's degree, an undergraduate degree in the United States. So over the course of the next 45 minutes or so, I just kind of, again, want to introduce you to the University of Rochester, highlight those things that make Rochester distinctive relative to some of the other schools you may be considering at this point in time. I will talk about some of the programs that are unique to Rochester, and then, of course, I'll finish up with information about if this is an institution that you find appealing and would like to consider attending in the future, how to go about that process, the college application process, the process by which we determine admission, and then, of course, I'll finish up with some information about scholarships and financial aid, which is usually a very big topic for a lot of students, not just international students, but domestic students alike. I will be checking in and answering questions, but I will leave those toward the end. So as you're watching the presentation, if a question arises, by all means, type that up, and at the end I will leave 10 to 15 minutes to really address those questions. But I would like to at least acknowledge the fact that we will have staff on the chat feature of College Week Live throughout the day. So if you do have additional questions, don't hesitate to go to the chat feature of College Week Live and ask those questions. You get a lot more pointed answers throughout the day if as additional questions arise. So with that being said, this is kind of a new format for me. I'm not used to having to talk into a camera, so hopefully I can address all these questions and kind of move forward. With that being said, let me just kind of give you a sense for where the University of Rochester is located. I want to at least be sure we're all on the same page. The University of Rochester is located in the city of Rochester, New York. And for those of you who are not familiar with geography of the United States and New York State is located in the northeastern part of the United States. And the city of Rochester is a mid-sized to smallish city of approximately 200,000 people, with the greater Rochester area, which is the city of Rochester and the 5 surrounding counties, having a population of 1.2 million people. So it's not a huge megalopolis like New York City or Boston or Washington, D.C. or Philadelphia or Los Angeles. It's a smaller city, but it has a lot to offer to the undergraduate students that come to the University of Rochester. We are situated approximately 2 miles, or roughly 4 kilometers, away from the heart of downtown Rochester, which is our business center where corporations like Kodak, Xerox, Bosch and Lomb will have a lot of their business centers located in the heart of the city. We're also located 2 miles or 4 kilometers away from the Rochester International Airport. So from the airport, it's about a 10-minute taxi ride to campus. It's fairly easy to get to from any major hub airport on the eastern seaboard. from Chicago, from Philadelphia, New York City, Washington, D.C. We do have direct flights into a lot of those hub airports, so you can connect and fly right into the city of Rochester. From there, you're only a 10-minute cab ride away from the campus. So it's fairly easy to navigate and get into the city of Rochester. But we're located about a 5.5 to 6 hour drive from New York City. I want to clarify that we are not located in New York City. It is about a 5.5 to 6 hour drive or a 40-minute flight from New York City. So I just want to clarify that we are not a part of the big part of the city. You can't just jump on a train and be in Manhattan in a 20-minute time frame. So I need to clarify exactly where we are. But Rochester does have a lot to offer in terms of business opportunities, in terms of entertainment opportunities. We have major musical concerts, sporting events, a lot of theater, a lot of different art galleries and museums to engage with and take advantage of. As well as restaurants of all types and varieties. So it does have a lot to offer in a smaller city. So that is kind of a little bit about the city of Rochester and the community of which we are a part. My office is located on the River Campus, which for the undergraduate student population is the primary campus for the undergraduate college. The College of Arts, Sciences, and Engineering is located on the River Campus, which is a 90-acre campus. It's a smallish campus that is very walkable, bikeable, skateboardable, any mode of transportation you can think of. It's not a vehicle-friendly campus, so we really do promote kind of that small community feel where it's a residential experience where 80% of the students elect to remain on campus all 4 years. We do require that first and second year students live on campus, so really to build that community feel. It has that liberal arts college look and feel to it. There's a lot of red brick buildings, a lot of Georgian architecture and Corinthian columns, so you kind of get a sense if you go to our website what the campus looks like, and I encourage you again to do that, to see some images of what the campus looks like, and also to engage our students. Through our website, we have a lot of opportunities for you to connect with current students who can explain to you exactly why they chose to come to the University of Rochester. But the River Campus is home to the College of Arts and Sciences. The Hagem School of Engineering and Applied Sciences offers bachelor's, master's, as well as PhD programs in several different areas of engineering. The Warner Graduate School of Education and Human Development is located on the River Campus. So too is the Simon Graduate School of Business Administration that does have some undergraduate courses available that students can capitalize on. I'll talk a little bit more about the undergraduate business program in a bit, as well as the residence halls, the athletic facilities, the student union, several of the university libraries are located on this 90-acre campus that most undergraduate students really do call home. We call it the River Campus because it's bordered on one side by the Genesee River. So it's kind of the Genesee River kind of wraps around the campus. So it's a picturesque campus where there's a biking and running and jogging path that runs along the river, and so it connects the campus to the city of Rochester. So it's fairly easy to navigate back and forth. And you will find out as you connect with our students how they engage with the city. There are shuttle buses that connect students to the city, both the city bus system as well as the university-owned shuttle buses navigate the city and are free for university students and staff and faculty alike to really engage and connect with the city. So you can get around the city without having a need for a vehicle or a car to navigate the city, so you can certainly explore beyond the borders of the River Campus. Directly across the street is the University of Rochester Medical Center campus, and for those of you who may have aspirations of medical school or going into the allied health fields, healthcare administration or hospital administration programs, the University of Rochester Medical Center is directly across the street. So from the undergraduate residence halls, it's about perhaps a 5 to 7 minute walk to the University of Rochester Medical Campus. So those of you who are hoping to do some medical research over at the hospitals, Strong Memorial Hospital, Golisano Children's Hospital, the Kornberg Research Facilities, the School of Medicine, the School of Dentistry, and the School of Nursing are located literally adjacent to the undergraduate campus, the River Campus. Just beyond that is the Laboratory for Laser Energetics, also known as South Campus. A lot of students who are interested in physics or any of the engineering fields really look at the Laboratory for Laser Energetics, or LLE as it's sometimes referred, as a resource that they would love to get involved with the research opportunities there. The Laboratory for Laser Energetics is funded in part by the Department of Energy. They're doing fusion research, which will ultimately replace nuclear energy as a means to power the globe. So it's a cleaner energy resource that a lot of students, there's a lot of research being done on fusion, so undergraduate students will have the opportunity to engage in the research opportunities there. It is a fascinating facility to take a tour of if you have the opportunity and are able to visit campus. It's roughly the size of 1.5 football fields. A 1 millisecond blast of that laser, I've been told, could power the entire U.S. power grid for a full year. And at that particular moment when they fire it off, it is the hottest place in the solar system. So a lot of research happening at that facility, particularly in the areas of fusion, and undergraduate students have the opportunity to engage in that sort of activity. I'll talk a little bit more about research opportunities in a bit. The last campus I'm going to mention is the Eastman School of Music. I don't know how many musicians there may be out there, but the Eastman School of Music, if you are not familiar, is an internationally renowned conservatory-style school of music. They too offer not only vocal as well as instrumental performance degrees. They offer degrees in conducting, composition, jazz studies, among others. So it is an outstanding resource, really a jewel in the crown for the University of Rochester. It is one of the top music conservatories in the world, and we do have students from all over the globe, aspiring to gain admission to the Eastman School of Music. It is a conservatory, so their admission process is a bit different than what we would be doing in my office at the undergraduate level, because an audition is required for the Eastman School of Music. So usually that is done in person on campus. They will make some allowances for audition tapes to be submitted, but those are usually the exceptions rather than the rule. Most of the students that are applying to the Eastman School are doing a live audition. So those are the 4 campuses that comprise the university. The university as a whole, if you are not familiar, is a nationally ranked Research 1 category university. In the United States, the Carnegie Foundation kind of ranks universities among different tiers, and the Research 1 category is among the highest tier university of national research universities. There are 21 private research universities that comprise that Research 1 category. University of Rochester is a mid-sized university in that grouping of schools, with an undergraduate population of roughly 5,000 undergraduate students. We have approximately 4,000 graduate students, so in total between 9,000 9,500 students in total at the University of Rochester, between all the different schools and colleges that comprise the university. We pride ourselves on the fact that all of the classes at the undergraduate level are taught by faculty members. We don't have any TAs or graduate students teaching any of the classes, with one exception being the freshman writing class. Writing 105 is the one required class we require of all students that are coming in as undergraduates to the university, because research writing is one of the foundations of what it is we try to achieve here. We are a research university, and we want students to be able to communicate their ideas not only verbally, but also in writing. So their writing skills are really important. So we do emphasize writing through the freshman writing course, and try to limit the enrollment for those classes to 15 students. So you get a lot of personalized attention. And so that is the one instance where you may have a graduate student teaching your course, but all of the courses, the faculty, full-time faculty will be teaching the classes, so you won't have any teaching assistants or graduate students teaching any of the other courses that you may be taking on campus. Typical class size will range anywhere from 18 students to 40 students, although there are some larger lecture hall type classes for introductory courses like introductory biology and introductory chemistry, perhaps introductory macro and microeconomics. But the by and large, the largest volume of classes will be anywhere between 18 to 40 students. Some classes even get down as small, with fewer than 10 students, as small as 5 or 6 students. There are opportunities for independent study as well. The student faculty ratio is 9 to 1. So a lot of opportunities to engage with individuals who are really at the forefront of their fields, that are doing primary research and publishing and really expanding the body of knowledge that currently exists. So these are Nobel laureates, these are Pulitzer Prize winners, these are Guggenheim Award winners who are very well renowned for their teaching abilities. So we're pleased to be able to offer undergraduate students the opportunity to connect with those individuals while they are undergraduates at the university. So that's a little bit about the university, obviously the size. We have students coming from all walks of life. We have students from all 50 states as well as over 100 countries internationally. We do consider the university and the campus at the undergraduate level kind of a global village, is kind of how we like to refer to it. Because we have students from so many different countries and so many different parts of the world, we love the fact that these students are coming to our campus and are engaging in the classroom environment and contributing to the discussion and the dialogue that's going on from their own unique perspectives. Obviously students from sub-Saharan Africa are engaging with students from inner city Chicago as well as rural Wyoming, and those students from Asia. So we think it adds a tremendous value to the educational experience here at the University of Rochester, something we're pleased to be able to offer. But we have students from all 50 states, over 90 countries. Approximately 19% of the undergraduate student population is international. Last year's freshman class was 21% international. So we really do consider the University of Rochester a microcosm of the globe, and that's something that we think that is a draw for many students at the university. So that's a little bit about the university in terms of general factors. I do want to kind of talk about some of the hallmarks, or the two primary hallmarks about the university that usually, when prompted and when you ask students at the undergraduate level why they chose to come to the University of Rochester, the most commonly cited answers, the most commonly cited answer would be the curriculum. And if any of you have been going and perusing any of our publications or materials, or going to our website, you may see references to the Rochester curriculum or the Choose Your Own curriculum. It is something that usually is a big draw for most students. Unlike a lot of colleges and universities in the United States that were built on the liberal arts foundation, which basically the liberal arts in the United States is a philosophy by which you're getting a broad base of education across a variety of different disciplines, the humanities, the social sciences, the natural sciences. In many countries around the world, you go to university and you focus in on one particular area. It may be business, it may be economics, it may be engineering, it may be medicine. But those are, you're kind of focused in like a laser on one particular area and don't really get that broad-based education, which is what the United States and the liberal arts education philosophy is known for. So we too at the University of Rochester want to provide all of our undergraduate students that broad-based education with a focus, obviously the focus being your degree program or your major, but we've done it in a little bit of a different way, as opposed to having it what we dub as a faculty-centered curriculum, where faculty have sat down on a curriculum committee and identified courses that would be most suitable for students to take to get that broad-based, well-rounded education. Some schools may term it the general education requirements. Some may call it the core. At the University of Rochester, before we moved to this model 20 years ago, we had distribution requirements, which was a small subset of courses, a list of courses by which students could choose those that they found most interesting to really get that broad-based education. But when we sat down with our students 20 years ago, and I asked them directly and pointedly, why did you choose this class over that class? What value did this class have over that class, and how did it contribute to your education? More often than not, the answers they were citing was that, I was required to take a class, that class fit in my schedule, it didn't really add any value to my educational experience, and that's not the spirit of what it is that we wanted to really have students walking away from their educational experience at Rochester. We wanted to make sure that every class that the students opt to take is one that adds value to their education. So we kind of flipped the whole idea of general education on its head and came up with a curricular structure that, instead of being faculty-centered, is student-centered. What that means is that the student is at the forefront and really is the architect of their own educational experience. It does provide the students to work with their advisor, their pre-major advisor, or their faculty advisor. There's a lot of advising resources, so students are not left to their own devices to come up with the curriculum on their own. They work in partnership with an advisor that can kind of guide them through this process to ensure that they're achieving their goals, be it academic, co-curricular goals, whatever that may be. So whatever end result they're hoping to achieve, be it graduate school, employment in a particular area, medical school, law school, whatever that may be, they're there to guide you throughout the process. So how does the Rochester curriculum really work? Obviously, we want to ensure that students are getting that broad-based educational experience, the liberal arts foundation that I was just speaking of. But how do we do it? So at the University of Rochester, there are 3 divisions of study. Those would include the natural sciences. So the natural science would be anything like biology, chemistry, physics. All the engineering fields would be encompassed among the natural sciences. Mathematics would be part of the natural sciences. The social sciences would encompass things like business, economics, political science, international relations, history. Those would encompass the social sciences. And the last division of study would be the humanities. Music, studio arts, art history, any of the modern languages, English literature would all encompass the humanities. So you need to get a basic understanding of the 3 divisions of study before you graduate. You have to demonstrate your ability, to have minimum competency in each of those 3 divisions of study, with one of those 3 divisions of study being your focus, or the area in which you are planning to earn your degree. So once you decide upon a major, which you do not have to do until the latter half of your second year at the university, or your sophomore year, at that point you have to declare a major. And once you do that, you work with your advisor, you kind of decide what pathway you are ultimately choosing for yourself to earn that degree. Once you decide upon that major, we have a big party for you. Obviously, we celebrate the fact that you've made that decision and are moving forward with your educational experience. Some students come in with a laser-like focus, knowing exactly what it is they want to study and what their goals are, and that's fine. There are other students that come to the University of Rochester undecided and not really sure and want to explore all the options that the University of Rochester has to offer. And the university will work with students on both ends of the spectrum to really ensure all students, regardless of where you fall on that spectrum, have the ability to graduate on time. So once you decide upon a major, obviously you'll have to complete your degree requirements for your major. So those are courses that the departments have identified in order for you to be qualified to earn a baccalaureate degree or bachelor's degree in that particular area. There's certain requirements you need to fulfill. Anywhere from 10 classes, I believe biomedical engineering is the one major that has the most number of requirements. They have 23 required classes, if I recall correctly. So anywhere on that spectrum of 10 classes up to 23 classes are required to complete a degree requirement, a degree program at the University of Rochester. So obviously that would be your focus. In order to graduate from the University of Rochester, however, you do need to demonstrate minimum competency in the other 2 divisions of study outside of your major. And you can do that with a second major, which about half of the students, or 50% of the students at the University of Rochester, will do a second major. In some cases, a triple major. In very rare instances, we may even see a quadruple major graduating from the University of Rochester and graduating within a 4-year time frame. It's possible. We've had 2 students this past year that graduated with quadruple majors. However, most students are graduating 1 or 2 majors. In order to demonstrate minimum competency in the other 2 divisions of study, you can do that with a second major, like I just said, or a minor, which typically is anywhere from 6 to 8 classes is typical for a minor. It's a lesser concentration than a major. And at minimum, what students call a cluster is a series of 3 classes that have a common theme. So those 3 courses that comprise a cluster have to be thematically linked. They can all be from the same department. So if you wanted to take 3 math classes, that would constitute a cluster in the natural sciences. But if you also are the type of individual who wants to explore and do things interdepartmentally, where you're taking a class from one department, another class from a different department, you can have an interdepartmental cluster available. At last count, I know there's over 200 clusters available from which students may choose. You can actually go to our website and do a search for the cluster search engine. It's available for anybody to go to our website and check out the cluster search engine. I utilize that quite a bit when working with my advisees. Typically, for those students who are undecided and not trying to explore all the different options, I encourage them to see what classes you like. Every student has classes they really enjoy, and perhaps subjects that, if you were given the option, you probably never take another class in that subject again. And that's what the Rochester curriculum is all about: is really giving students the choice and the options to pursue the degree programs that they are interested in, and to choose coursework that they're interested in. You don't want to be sitting in a classroom environment where you're really excited about a subject, but there are students that were forced to take a class that they didn't want to take, sitting in the back of the classroom, not paying attention, perhaps falling asleep. You don't want that. And so that's something that the Rochester curriculum, when we moved to this model, because there are no required classes with the exception of the freshman writing class, students are opting in for the classes they find most interesting and appealing to them. So every class that you choose for yourself is one that is directly tied to your goals and aspirations, and that's something that students have found they really enjoy. You are in a classroom environment with other students who opted to be in that class, who are contributing to this discussion and dialogue as a whole. That elevates the excitement in the class. It makes for a much more enjoyable learning experience, and as a whole, it really has a tremendous impact at the University of Rochester in student success and their ability to be successful, and that's something we're really pleased about. So that's kind of a groundbreaking and lengthy description of what the Rochester curriculum is all about. And it's something, when you ask our students why they came to Rochester, that's usually the most cited reason, is the freedom that the curriculum does afford students to pick and choose the classes they find most interesting and not being forced to take classes they don't want to take. The second most common hallmark that when asked students why they chose Rochester, we are a research university. And I know a lot of students automatically associate research with white lab coats, medical research, engineering research. But rest assured, regardless of what major or what degree program you're seeking to pursue, research is being done in every single discipline on this campus, from the music department to the art department to history, political science, international relations. Certainly the natural sciences, the medical fields, the engineering fields all encompass the research opportunities. And what research is expanding the body of knowledge that currently exists. And so every discipline is engaged in this process, from the faculty to graduate students, as well as undergraduate students. 70% of the undergraduate student body is involved in dynamic research opportunities throughout their undergraduate career. I've had several of my advisees personally in their first year at the university. By the end of their first year, it's not uncommon for 7 of my 10 freshman advisees to be involved in dynamic research, either collaboratively with a faculty member or independent research projects by the end of their first year. And that's something that we really do tout as being something that is unusual to be at a research university, and to have those opportunities during your first year. We've had students that have continued with the same research, worked in the same lab throughout their 10 years undergraduates at the university. Other students have kind of toggled and worked in different labs and different research projects throughout their undergraduate career as well, and that's fine too. One of the ways in which I typically like to illustrate how prolific the research that undergraduate students have opportunities to do is, I'll just kind of show you what it looks like. The Journal of Undergraduate Research is something that was developed by an undergraduate student, and it was meant as a vehicle to really demonstrate how many students at the undergraduate level were involved in research. There was no, before, this has been around for more than 10 years at this point, but an undergraduate student really wanted to showcase all the research that undergraduate students were doing and were involved with. And so he actually developed the Journal of Undergraduate Research, which comes out every single semester, and is just a collection of research abstracts that undergraduate students were doing the preceding semester. So every semester we look forward to seeing the new issue come out and seeing what undergraduate students were involved with and the research projects. There's a research exposition that features undergraduate research and gives undergraduates the opportunity to kind of showcase to the larger university community in the city of Rochester some of the things that they were involved with during that course of the semester. Usually at the end of the academic year that symposium takes place. We have research and innovation grants that a select number of incoming students are able to receive a research grant. Come into the University of Rochester with a grant anywhere between $3,000 and $5,000. It's basically a bank account with your name on it that you can utilize at any point throughout your undergraduate experience, and you can utilize the funds in that account to reimburse yourself for any expenses associated with research you would like to do. So if you have an idea, if you've been involved with research and would like to continue that research, or if it's something that you would like to explore more fully, that is something that a subset of the incoming freshman class will have those opportunities to engage with research funding available to them to do that. And of course, you work with your advisor, perhaps your faculty mentor on that research project to identify whether or not you need to purchase equipment, or you need to travel, or you need to whatever those expenses may be for your research. That's what the Research Innovation Grant is for. So those are the two primary hallmarks about the University of Rochester. Obviously, that's something that we really tout as the curriculum and the research are the two primary reasons why students come to Rochester. There are many, many other reasons that students come to Rochester. Obviously, we have specialized programs. I'll just name a few. There's far too many for me to cite during this presentation, but one of the unique programs that we have here is called Take 5. Take 5 is an opportunity for students to remain at the University of Rochester for a 5th year to study something completely unrelated to what they were studying as an undergraduate during their tenure as an undergraduate. A select number of students, usually between 75 and 100 each year, elect or opt in to do the Take 5 program. It was originally designed for engineering students because the engineering programs are a bit more structured and don't have as many opportunities for elective coursework. It was originally designed for the engineering students, but we've opened up to any student who would like to participate in the Take 5 program. It provides them with an opportunity to remain at the university for a 5th year to pursue studies in an area unrelated to what they were studying as an undergraduate, and we will not charge those students tuition for that 5th year. So we've had students defer medical school for 1 year to do piano performance study at the Eastman School of Music for 1 year because they were so focused on their biology, their chemistry, and their medical studies throughout their undergraduate career, but they didn't have the opportunity to really capitalize on the resources of the Eastman School of Music. So we have had one student do that. One of my former advisees deferred law school to do cinematography through our Film and Media Studies program. He was always interested in cinematography and working in film. He opted to actually forego law school to do that, and instead, after the Take 5 program, ended up going to film school at UCLA and pursued that as an option instead of pursuing law school. So in some cases, in some instances, a Take 5 program can entirely change your trajectory of what you originally envisioned for yourself. But it's a unique opportunity. As far as I know, no other college university offers that type of program. The KEY program, or Kauffman Entrepreneurial Year program, is another program that we have that's fairly unique to the University of Rochester. We are one of 10 schools that received the Kauffman grant. It was a $10 million grant to incorporate the concepts of entrepreneurship into our curriculum. We, of course, embedded it into our business program, but it applies to all different undergraduate programs. So regardless of what major you choose, embedded within each major are the concepts of entrepreneurship. So you can actually learn how to apply your knowledge to studio art, or to history, or to women's studies. You will understand how to utilize that knowledge to start your own business. And the Kauffman Entrepreneurial Year is another opportunity that select students may opt into. It's another tuition-free fifth-year program to enable students the time to develop a business plan, to perhaps start your own business and kind of seek out opportunities to really develop that idea more fully. So that is another unique program at the University of Rochester. Of course, we have the Gwen Green Career and Internship Center. Not as unique, certainly a number of college and universities have career centers, but the Gwen Green Career and Internship Center has opportunities available not only for seniors. We want to ensure that students have the opportunity to connect with the professionals in the Career Center to guide them throughout their undergraduate career. So go into the Career Center during your freshman year, sophomore year, identify opportunities for internships and cooperative learning experiences and experiential learning over the summers between your first and second year, your second and third year, to build your resume, to really learn all the skills required for interview skills, for resume writing skills. That is a resource that's available to students. Study Abroad, another office, the Center for Study Abroad and Interdepartmental Programs, offers over 70 programs worldwide. I know that a lot of you are international students that are coming to the United States to really experience education in the United States, but a number of our international students will opt to go abroad and broaden their educational experience to another part of the globe. And that's something that we certainly tout, and a number of our students will take advantage of the variety of different study abroad programs we have for a number of different areas. There are programs that are taught in English, programs that are taught in foreign languages, semester-long programs, year-long programs, programs for engineering students, programs for pre-med students. So really any student that would like the opportunity to study abroad has that option available to them, and we do promote that as much as possible. We do want students to kind of realize that the world is much larger than the United States. Obviously many of you are international yourselves, so you're coming to the United States and understand that already, but to get a better sense of another part of the world that you may not be from yourselves, we certainly provide that opportunity to international students as well. Far too many programs to cite. We do have a number of professional degree programs, combined degree programs, one of which is our 8-year medical program called the Rochester Early Medical Scholars Program. I will be honest about the fact that international students oftentimes will have difficulty gaining admission into medical schools in the United States. It is a strong hurdle. We will consider international students for our 8-year medical program. However, the number of students that are successful in gaining admission into that 8-year medical program, if they are not a U.S. citizen or U.S. permanent resident, are few and far between. Typically, we might see one student every 3 to 4 years gaining admission into that program. It's a selective program anyways. There's only 10 spaces available each year, and on average, we'll have between 800 and 900 applications for that medical program, that 8-year medical program. The reason why it's so popular and why it's so competitive is the fact that there are only 10 spaces, but we waive the MCAT, which is the equivalent of the SAT for medical school admissions. It's the medical college admission test. So for those 10 students, the MCAT is waived, and there's no application process. Upon successful completion of your undergraduate degree at the University of Rochester, the following fall you will be admitted into the medical school. You're guaranteed admission. So that is one of the programs that are available. We have a similar program called GEAR, or Graduate Engineering at Rochester, which affords students who are admitted into that program to earn a bachelor's as well as a master's degree in any one of the number of engineering programs we offer through the Hagen School of Engineering and Applied Sciences in an accelerated time frame. Usually it's a 5-year program, so we accelerate the bachelor's master's program into a 5-year program, and that's the GEAR program you can apply to as a high school student applying for undergraduate admission to the University of Rochester. The GRADE program is another program. It's focused on education, so it's an opportunity for students to earn a master's degree in counseling, teaching, higher educational administration, a number of different areas of education is another option available to students. We have dual degrees with the Eastman School of Music that I mentioned before. If you are applying to the dual degree program for Eastman, obviously you have to submit 2 different applications, one to my office as well as one to the Eastman School of Music, and there is an audition again for the Eastman School of Music for admission into that program. And then the other dual degree degree program is the nursing program. If you are interested in earning a degree in nursing, there is a dual degree program available in nursing. Again, there are some challenges with earning a nursing degree if you are not a U.S. citizen or permanent resident. So there are some challenges with the health fields for international students. But if you have additional questions, again, I will be touching upon some of these at the end, but also throughout the day, my colleagues will be on chat throughout the day on CWL, so you can ask more pointed questions about any of these programs throughout the day. Let me talk, hopefully, I've just given you just a little glimpse of what the University of Rochester has to offer and kind of the unique things that make Rochester unique. Hopefully that's enticed you enough to want to learn more and explore and perhaps become a part of our community, our dynamic community that we have here. So let me talk a little bit about the application process for undergraduates. If you are looking to become a part of our community, you have to apply. Admission to Rochester is somewhat selective. We typically will bring in a freshman class roughly of about 1,250 students each year, each fall. This past year we had just shy of 17,000 applications for those 1,250 openings in our freshman class. So obviously, you would need to submit your application. We have two vehicles by which you can submit your application. The first and most common is the Common Application in the United States. It's available on commonapp.org. You can submit your Common Application electronically, but we also accept the Universal College Application, or UCA, as another online application that you can submit. So either one of those two applications will certainly enable you to have your application considered for admission. You will need to submit, in addition to the application and the personal statement, we also will ask that you submit your academic information. And typically, we would like to see 3 to 4 years, the last 3 to 4 years of academic study throughout your secondary school experience. So in the United States, that's typically grades 9 through 12. So the equivalent of that, the last 2 or 3 years, excuse me, the last 3 or 4 years of academic study is really what we're going to be looking for freshman admission. Or if you are an adult non-traditional student and have not attended college or university, we will need to have those records from your secondary school. Obviously, we're looking for rigor. We want to ensure that you are challenging yourself. So having your high school transcript or its equivalent sent in along with your common application. Letters of recommendation, we typically would like to see a letter of recommendation from a school official, a high school counselor, or a headmaster of some kind. Your teachers usually can provide you with letters of recommendation, but we will accept letters of recommendation from anybody who you feel can speak adequately on your behalf and present new information about you throughout the course of the process. So 2 to 3 letters of recommendation is all that we really need. My record this past year was 17. My colleagues and I tend to be a little bit cranky when we see that many letters of recommendation, so be very thoughtful about who you're inviting to send letters of recommendation on your behalf. You don't want to over-inundate us with information, but you want that information that others may share on your behalf to be adding value to your application. Your personal statement, definitely the most entertaining piece of the application. We do require it. You want to answer the question that's being posed to you, but you also want your response to be unique. There are a lot of application essays out there that when you're looking at an applicant pool of 17,000, if you're talking about a common topic, we may see upwards of 1,000 of those types of essays. So you want your essay to really speak about your unique individual experience, and trying to do that in a concise manner, usually of 200 to 600 words, is not an easy prospect to do. So we encourage you to spend some time writing that personal statement to kind of identify exactly what makes you unique and how you might contribute to the student body here at the University of Rochester. Standardized test scores, there's a lot of angst about that, a lot of anxiety about standardized test scores, and most commonly there are a lot of questions about the SAT or the ACT. The SAT is more common than the ACT, but we will accept either or. We also accept SAT 2 subject tests, AP or Advanced Placement exams, the International Baccalaureate exams are also acceptable, but we also will welcome examination scores from national examinations from around the world. We are a global institution. We have a test flexible policy. What that means is that provided that you're providing us with some nationalized examination or standardized exam from around the world, and there's a complete list of all the different exams that we accept around the globe on our website. So you can check out our website and see that we do accept GCEs, A-levels. If you're coming from the West African Examination Council, examinations are acceptable. You know, the French BAC, a number of different examinations are acceptable in lieu of an SAT. We also accept the Gaokao. In lieu of an SAT or an ACT, you tell us what examinations you want to use as part of your assessment, and we will utilize those exams as part of our assessment to determine admission. So we are acknowledging there are a number of different examinations and different systems of education around the globe. So this is our vehicle by which we are able to kind of consider a variety of different educational experiences as part of our admission process. So those are kind of the primary pieces we're looking for. We do encourage an interview as part of our process. There's a number of different options that students have to pursue an interview. If you have the luxury to come visit us and come to campus and experience what the University of Rochester is all about personally, we have a number of international visitors that come throughout the year to meet with an admissions professional, to sit in on a group admission session, to take a campus tour, but also to interview with one of the staff members personally on campus. That's wonderful. My staff does travel considerably throughout the globe internationally, so if you go to our website, you can find out exactly where we will be over the course of the next several months, so you can see whether or not we're going to be in your area, and if so, you can schedule yourself for an interview in an area close by to you, hopefully. If not, we also do Skype interviews. There's a number of other vehicles by which we can do interviews or phone interviews to really enable you an opportunity to connect with a faculty member or a staff member at the university so that we can get to know you a little bit better as part of the process. We really want to ensure that the students who we're inviting to join our community are those that are best matched and best suited. It's not just looking at the students with the best test scores or the highest GPA and getting admitted to the university. We encompass a holistic review process. And so the selection process of narrowing down from the 17,000 applications to the subset of students that we want to invite to join our community is a pretty rigorous one. We spend a lot of time poring over the essays, the letters of recommendation, debating with one another in the committee exactly the students who are best suited to the educational experience that I just spoke about and why you would be a good match for the institution. You're trying to present that to the committee, and the committee is debating exactly who are the students that have the best opportunity to connect in that regard. So the deadlines, be aware of those. If you are applying early decision, which is a binding agreement, basically what that means is that you are committing yourself to coming to the University of Rochester if admitted through early decision. That deadline is November 1st. We typically will notify those students of their admission status in mid-December. And then if you are admitted, you will have till the middle of January to let us know whether or not you plan to enroll. Now, clearly, it's a binding agreement. You, your guidance counselor, or headmaster, or parents need to sign an agreement, understanding that if you are admitted through early decision, you are withdrawing any other college applications you submitted up to that point, and are committing yourself to come to the University of Rochester the following fall. Regular decision, conversely, is not a binding agreement. That deadline is January 5th this year for freshman admission next year. So you would need to complete all the pieces of the application process I mentioned. Make sure we have all those documents at the ready for review so that we can review those documents during the months of January, February, and March, and notify those students of their admission status in the month of March, or definitely by April 1. So you will know exactly whether or not you've been invited to join our community by April 1st. And then, of course, you will have until May 1st, which is the universal response deadline in the United States, when you need to let the university know which institution you plan to attend. So that's the timeline here in the United States of when you need to apply, when you can expect to hear from us, and then when you need to let us know whether or not you plan to enroll for the following fall. We employ a holistic review process. Obviously, we're taking into consideration your grades for the last 3 to 4 years of your secondary school experience. We're looking at your involvement in co-curricular activities, how much you contribute to the student body here at the University of Rochester. We like to see how you may be engaged. I know a lot of students are attending schools where athletics and different clubs and organizations may not be part of the secondary school experience internationally. That is fine. You know, community service, employment, anything that you're doing outside of academics that might add value to the student body and the community here is something you might want to highlight as part of your application. The personal statement, I already alluded to the fact that we spend a lot of time poring over those, trying to identify what makes you unique and how you might contribute to the student body. So spend some time writing your personal statement. The interview, another important part of the process that really allows you to market and showcase how you might be different from other applicants at the University of Rochester. And then, of course, you know, standardized test scores. I already talked about how flexible we are with those. Just to give you some sense of the ranges for SAT and ACT, the SAT middle 50% range was anywhere from 1960 to 2180 was a middle 50% range for the 3 sections of the SAT this past year. The ACT composite was 28 to 32. Obviously, there are some allowances made for international students and non-native English speakers with regard to those tests, but you know, we also will accept advanced placement scores as well as international baccalaureate scores or A-level results or predicted A-level results in lieu of SAT or ACT scores. The same holds true with West African Examination Council results, IGCSEs, a number of different international examinations will be accepted in lieu of the SAT or the ACT. Last but not least, hopefully that gives you a sense of what it is that we're looking for, but obviously scholarships and financial aid are a big piece and a big component of this process. We do offer a variety of different scholarships to domestic as well as international students. You can go to our website for a complete list of all the different scholarships we offer. Anywhere from $5,000 per year up to full tuition. In some cases, full cost of attendance can be offered to a select number of students. We typically will have about 30 students coming each year from overseas who are in many cases fully funded, having received a full tuition Renaissance and Global Scholarship. In some cases we are able to supplement that if there is high need with some additional funding for housing and room and board. But that is a highly competitive scholarship. The typical international student can expect to receive anywhere from you know, $10,000 to $15,000 is a typical scholarship for most international students. You know, if you have the academic qualifications or any special talents, the typical scholarship will range anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000 for most international students. As part of our review process for international students, we are need aware. Unlike in the United States, where we are need blind. For international students, we are need aware. As part of the process, we do require that students demonstrate their ability to cover the cost of attendance, which is in the mid-60s, about $65,000 per year at this point. And I understand that not every international student has the ability to show that they have the means to attend a private university like the University of Rochester up front. We will obviously consider all students. There's no separate scholarship application as part of the application for admission. You are automatically considered for all scholarships when you apply using the common application of the UCA. So you don't have to worry about submitting additional documentation. However, we do need to see that you either have the means to afford the entire cost of education or a portion thereof as part of our application process. And if you need significant financial aid to attend the University of Rochester, we will require that you submit the CSS profile, or the College Scholarship Service Profile, as part of the application process, so that we are aware of what your financial need may be, because we have to take that into consideration as we are evaluating your application for admission. The amount of funds available to fully fund every student, we just don't have the capacity to fund every single student that's admissible to the university. So we have to identify the students that are best suited for educational experience, and I invite those students to interview and be selected as a finalist for one of those high full tuition scholarships that I was just referring to, the Renaissance and Global Scholarship Program. So that's a little bit about the financial aid piece, the scholarship piece for international students. I am running down to about 7 minutes, and I do want to allow some time for questions. So at this point, if you do have any additional questions, I'll be happy to answer questions. You can type them up. I'll be happy to answer any questions, but again, they will be available throughout the day to answer any specific questions that I'm unable to answer in the next 7 minutes. So with that being said, are there any questions? So there's a question I would like to ask about the possibility of transferring for a foreign medical student, and is there any specialization for foreign doctors? Again, that is something that because medical school in the United States is something that is at the graduate level, I would definitely encourage you to connect with the medical school itself, the University of Rochester Medical Center, to actually ensure what qualifications they may be seeking for consideration for their medical school program, and how your credentials at your medical school in the home country where you're coming from might apply to their medical program and how they might treat that. That's something I'm unable to answer at the undergraduate level. You mentioned there are some companies near your campus, so there are many chances to collaborate with them on education and research. Yes, so Xerox, Bausch & Lomb, Kodak are three big corporations that are located in the city of Rochester. And there's a number of students that are doing internships and cooperative learning experiences, research opportunities available here in the city of Rochester, but we have a number of students that are doing research as well as doing internships in cities around the United States during the summers. We have students going to New York City, to Boston, to San Francisco, to Silicon Valley, to Seattle and Los Angeles, but we also have students going overseas to get some experiential learning, to do internships and cooperative learning experiences, and that holds true for international students as well. So yes, locally, nationally, as well as internationally, there's many opportunities available for students to do internships and cooperative learning experiences. Does the University of Rochester give importance to sports? Yes, I did not really speak at length about the opportunities available for athletics and co-curricular activities. I encourage you to go to our website, but we are NCAA Division III for athletics. We're unable to offer any athletic scholarships at the University of Rochester because we are Division III. Division I and Division II in the United States are able to award athletic scholarships. The University of Rochester is a Division III school, so we're unable to award athletic scholarships, but we do award scholarships for special talents. There's a number of different Division III level sports that are offered on this campus, both for men and for women, as well as club sports, intramural sports. There's over 240 clubs and organizations, from student governments to academic clubs and organizations, social clubs and organizations, athletics, musical ensembles. Again, far too many for me to cite, but we really are a residential campus that promotes not only the academic piece, but the co-curricular piece as well. Again, so many opportunities for you to get involved in a variety of different things, including community service. We have affiliations with over 2,000 organizations in the city of Rochester. So anything from working with the elderly and the infirm to the disabled, you'll have those opportunities. Question about scholarships. I believe I talked a little bit about the scholarships. Again, the website will provide you with a lot more information about scholarship opportunities available. So if there are additional questions, again, you can go to our chat feature and ask more pointed questions about specific scholarships throughout the day. Would like to know if you study at the University of Rochester if you need to speak English fluently. We do have an English for Academic Purposes program, or also known as an ESOL, or an English for Speakers of Other Languages program. Typically, we want to ensure that students that we're inviting to join our community have the ability to be pretty proficient in our classroom environment, so that their listening comprehension for lectures and their ability to communicate their ideas verbally, as well as reading comprehension and their own writing, is adequate for the educational experience we have here. So our TOEFL requirement is a bit high. it's 100 out of a possible 120 points on the internet-based TOEFL, or the IELTS is another test that we will accept, and we do encourage at least a 7.0, and the 7.0 band of the IELTS what we would be considered acceptable. But for those students who are just shy of that, usually perhaps in the upper 80s and 90s of the TOEFL, or in the 6.5 band of the IELTS, we do have the support course, the English for Academic Purposes program, for non-native English speakers that students will have the opportunity to kind of engage with, which will substitute for the freshman writing course I spoke about a little bit earlier in my presentation. So concerning the research projects for undergraduates, how many students get external funding? I imagine that you're referring to the research and innovation grants. It typically is, like I said, it was a subset. There's no hard and fast rule, but we usually have about 100 students and more than 100 students that are receiving the research and innovation grants that they can use throughout their undergraduate career for research. They cannot apply those that funding to their expenses for attending the University of Rochester. It really is earmarked for research opportunities. More questions about scholarship programs. Is there a veterinary course at the University of Rochester? There is not a specific veterinary school at the University of Rochester. We've had students come to the University of Rochester as undergraduates and go through our pre-med program, pre-dentistry program, pre-veterinary science program, which gives students the foundation that they can then use to apply to veterinary school. And there's a number of veterinary schools throughout the United States that students may apply to, but no, the University of Rochester does not itself have a veterinary school. What are the requirements for the full scholarships you were talking about as it relates to GPA and SAT scores? Obviously, you know, I mentioned that they are competitive programs. You know, so you have to be among the top students for admission academically. Obviously, GPAs are going to vary depending on what education system you're coming from, but if you are equating it to a 4.0 system in the United States, pretty high. You know, usually, you know, mostly A's in most cases, or at least a preponderance of A's. There is no minimum SAT score or ACT score that we're looking for. We're really looking, as part of our holistic review process, we're really looking for the best students that are best suited for educational experience. So there really is no floor or minimums that we are looking for, but we just want you to be the most competitive you possibly can. So I can't really specifically state that there is a minimum SAT or GPA requirement for a full tuition scholarship. That really concludes my time at this point. I do have to dash to another meeting. I hope this has given you at least a better sense about what the University of Rochester has to offer and has addressed some of your questions. Again, my colleagues are available on the chat feature of CWL to answer additional questions you have. Also on CWL is the fact sheet, a PDF of the fact sheet, which has all the data points that I was referring to. You can go to that for additional information. But do stay in touch with us, connect with us, answer, ask us your questions. We'd be more than happy to meet with you and connect with you more. But at this point, I wish you luck as you continue on through the process and hope to see you on campus soon. Thank you so much.